All right, Gerald, what do you got, man?
No, all right.
Alrighty, first off, we have a Stormwatch number 4.
Ooh.
First appearance of Apollo and Midnight. This one I got for trading the Brightest Day 55, the Lobo cover.
Really?
Yeah, so I knocked off probably about $150 off this book, so I ended up paying only $230 for it.
So there's a lot of trade happening at the show?
A lot of trade. So this should have been a $500 slab, but $230. Then I have a X-Men 121.
Nice book.
First Alpha Flight. But don't pay attention to the price tag, that's what it was. Traded on this one as well. I gave them 2 raw books, knocked off probably about another $150 off that. Ended up with this one.
Okay. So 2 trades.
Two trades already. Next one up, that's just a $5 book that I'm always into because, you know, first I'm no Patriot.
Okay.
So, Hell Rider magazine. And I have 1 and 2.
Oh.
Prototype of Ghost Rider, first appearance of Butterfly.
And now, were you digging through crates for that, or digging through long boxes rather?
No, a couple of my friends that are vendors, you know, they had them on their wall, and they know this is what I go for. So I got a good deal on both of this. So I didn't pay $50 for that. So total, I probably paid maybe $125 for both.
Okay, and those books are from when, 1971?
Yeah,
Wow.
and Butterfly is actually the first super-powered black female character in comics.
Nice.
So, next up is, of course, Johnny Bravo. This is my niche all day. First appearance of Johnny Bravo, hard to find book. And I paid $30 for this because I talked him down $20.
Okay.
Last but not least is a Lobo number 2.
This guy.
So
Yes.
this is actually the first solo series of the first African American solo series in comics. I didn't find a number 1, I tried, but number 2 was good, and I did pay the $200 for this because last day didn't really want to haggle. But
So
also, that's not all actually I got. I also ran across and got a Bone number 2, first print, signed by Jeff Smith and sketched.
what?
That's out being graded right now, that's why I don't have it.
Okay.
I have a Bitterroot number 1 variant signed by Clark Brown and Sanford Green.
All right.
So both of those signed those. And then I have 2 Black Panther number 1 Scotty Young covers signed by Scotty. That's out being graded as well right now.
CGC or CDCS?
CGC.
Okay.
So those are my pickups for this weekend.
So now, in terms of your strategy, did you want to go full on trading? Did you see it as a trade show, just spending cash? How did you?
I've seen it more of a trade show. So not saying I'm trading book for book or value for value, but you know, I'm knocking some prices down to get better deals on books. Okay. So that's the way I looked at that.
Do you mind if I reposition this somewhere else so we can see the guy's face?
Yeah, you can.
So this was your first visit to HeroesCon, right?
First HeroesCon.
First HeroesCon.
It was absolutely amazing.
Okay. So what were your thoughts initially? Did you think it was going to be more like MegaCon, where it's anime and all these different things happening?
Well, first off, you know, from what people say, they say it's one of the biggest comic book conventions in the United States. So I went with an open mind, not really knowing what to expect. So it was a little overwhelming at first when you first walk in and see how many booths and it's all comic book vendors and art and stuff like that. So, but it was actually a really, really great weekend.
Okay. So tips for first time attenders. Should they bring stuff to trade? Should they just bring lots of cash?
I would bring cash and stuff to trade because you never know which vendor is willing to wheel and deal. A lot of them are open, and so I say both. So just don't come, just in case you may not be able to trade your books, but bring them anyways, just in case. You never know.
Okay. And how long have you been into comics?
Probably back in the comics, probably about 8 years now.
Okay. So you've got a lot of different picks, a lot of stuff that's not mainstream, some things that are kind of obscure to find.
Yeah.
What got you into that instead of the tried and true, you know, Marvel, DC heroes?
Well, Johnny Bravo and those animated series have always been some of my favorite. Mm-hmm. So those are things that I actually look for every time I go out. So it's just those oddities that people don't think about, and I like to, you know,
Rarity.
Go down memory lane of what I grew up with. You know, I wasn't one of the ones that grew up in the 50s and the 60s that, you know, Marvel and DC was their niche, but animated series was mine.
Okay, so we're with Comic Lore, and we're going to talk about his pickups at the show. Now, is this your first HeroesCon?
First HeroesCon ever, set up in the weirdest, farthest away booth that we can get. Last thing, but we had a blast. It was
So you went in as a dealer, not...
I went in as a dealer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I
this
ended up,
experience,
yeah.
so how was this experience?
It was great. It was, we learned a lot. Next year, we got to do a little better, you know, a little of different things. We learned a lot. First day was the best. Second day, I got the best. You know, the deal I made the whole show for me.
All right.
So last day was a little boring, but we'll make that better next year.
Okay, so what do we got?
So this was a trade. I traded these 2 books for 1 book.
So a McFarlane signed 9.8 ASM 316. This is the second appearance of Spider-Man in the symbiote costume, is that correct?
Yeah, so this book came out at the same time as 252.
Yeah.
So it really is his first appearance. You know, it shares the first appearance with 252. 252 is the one that people like most.
Yeah.
On the top, you have the label representing the Secret Wars 8, which was supposed to be the first appearance, but it was delayed, and because it was delayed, it came out after.
Yes.
But it was supposed to have come out before 252 and 141. 252 and 141 is like, should be after Secret Wars 8. So it's kind of cool. You have Secret Wars 8 on the top, and you have, which I like this cover the best, right? Arthur Adams is just awesome. And it's really, really hard to get in half grade.
Absolutely. And then
So yeah, so I had to,
first cover of Venom.
yeah. First Venom, the real Venom before the stupid Tom. So
Before Larson.
yeah, this is exactly the real Venom. Yeah, the McFarlane Venom. This one I bought. This is way too hard to get in 9.8, and you know you can still discuss whether or not this is truly a 9.8, but it's a really hard book to get in 9.8.
Yeah, that's the Bernthal. That was the cover that they used when the show came out.
Right.
Okay.
And this is the comic that starts when Punisher steals the armor.
War Machine.
The War Machine armor. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It kicks it off, and then all the crane art starts with that afterwards.
That's right. Yeah. Well, no, this is the variant cover.
Okay.
The crane is the original cover, and he has him with the armor on.
Got it.
The second print is the hardest one to get, and then this one.
Oh, so now, all right. So we've got some changes in terms of ages here. We've got modern.
So this was a trade.
Okay.
It's actually, it's funny because I was helping the dealer. This is Aaron's book. I was helping him put it together to sell. I'm like, I'm keeping this one. So he owed me a little bit on trade, so I ended up taking this instead. Neil Adams, great Neil Adams cover. So, and 9.6, this is really, really hard to find. So.
That's one of my favorites.
This was a purchase. Actually, I only made 2 purchases in the show. Mm-hmm. And this was one of them.
White pages, very hard to find.
White pages, 8.5, old label. This hasn't been pressed or cleaned, though. I'm not sure I'm gonna break it open. Maybe I will.
No CPR for it?
I don't. Maybe there's a lot of staining in the back. Here, I'll show you. That it's gonna be hard to remove. Mm-hmm. So, but if I find a cleaner that says, hey, I can easily remove that, then this book is fine to be done. You know, to be upgraded. But I don't think it'll get better than a 9.0 anyway, right? At best. So maybe I'll just leave it like that. Maybe rehold it. But his first appearance of Satana.
Yeah.
Cover doesn't really do credit. And the day I bought it was the day that Satana just got casted. So it was kind of cool that, you
The
know,
timeliness.
I'm sure it's worth a little more now.
Oh,
And this was the
holy grail.
this made my show, right? And it's funny because Brian and I were talking about this book before we even go to the show. He asked, hey, what books would you want to get if you go to the show? What do you think will be there? And I brought a lot of books to trade in hopes to get a Batman one, which I almost did, and now I'm glad I didn't. But I told him, I said, look, my priorities would be Detective 27, which I cannot afford, 35, and there's a story behind it, and then 31, and then Batman 1.
So this was on the list for you to...
Yeah, this was on the list even before Batman 1.
Wow.
But it's because this book in CGC Restore 7.0 was the very first CGC book I ever owned and started my whole CGC sales cycle.
So that whole journey started with this.
Before that book in 2001, I was just doing Raws. CGC had just come up and people were iffy about whether or not to get into CGC. And I had a dealer who convinced me and he sold me a 7.0 Restore for $700. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy this. I cannot sell it. I ended up selling it for $1,400.
Wow.
I wish I would still have that book today, because I think that book is maybe 40K, 45K today.
Yeah, it's a car.
Yeah. So this was a fluke. I'm walking to the bathroom. I go like this, and I go like, whoa, I saw something. And sure enough, there it was. The dealer had it.
It was on a wall, or?
It was on a wall. He had just gone in it that morning.
Oh wow, so he just took it in.
Yeah, I don't know what the guy paid.
Yeah.
I'm sure I paid twice what he paid. I don't care. To me, it was like great. I looked at it. It looks way better than a 6.0.
Yeah.
I had a few people look at it, professional people, and they said this absolutely can improve. But the best part is it's signed by Bob Kane.
Oh yeah. So the creator himself.
One of the creators, yeah. The guy who drew it. So, yeah, this is absolute craziness. So this book, I'm gonna have, more than likely, I'm gonna send it to Kenny, fix the centerfold, and see if we can get a better grade. But I think I'm gonna keep it in CBCS just to keep the signature. Right? It'll be yellow label when it comes back.
Because of the Siggy.
Yeah, but if I send it to CGC, which I could, it'll come back purple. And I kind of like the yellow better than the purple.
Unless you get conservative.
Yeah.
You can't do conserve unless I get rid of all the color touch.
Which is our.
But there's a lot of color touch because it's professionally restored.
Oh.
So I would have to get rid of potentially the whole spine and a few corners.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to do that. This book looks amazing the way it is. So I'm just going to make a little bit improvement on it and keep it as restored.
So now, typically with your strategy, were you coming in to trade like Gerald did? Were you thinking cash, or what was your process?
I would have traded all my books for this but I ended up getting it for such a great cash deal. I bought it for cash.
Okay.
That's the thing. You got to bring cash. Cash is king.
Yeah.
You bring cash, you actually get you actually get deals. All right. I just want to show you the other piece. I got these at the charity auction.
Wow.
I may have paid a little more for it than what it's really worth, but original art is only going up, right? And again, it's original. So even though this is actually a commission, it's still, it's unique in that level, right?
One of one.
One of one at this point, yeah. Even if he does another one, it's not going to be exactly the same.
No.
It's going to do something different. I just love the way that the details that he put on the face. So when I saw this, I'm like, okay, I definitely want to have that.
So what made you decide to say, I wanted to get a piece of art as opposed to buying another book?
Well, I've been collecting art for a long time, and I just stopped like a while back, right? This is back in 2001.
Wow.
But I just stopped, and I what I like to do was just to go and get talk a little bit with the artist, chill for. Actually, I have two other pieces that Hughes did for me that he was doing them while we were just drinking and having fun at a bar. So we hang out for like 4 hours while he just got those done.
And he starts sketching.
And those are in my office, yeah. And so that's what I like. I just like to talk to these guys. Like when I talked to Derek, I mean, he's one of the nicest guys on the planet. We chatted for like 2 hours. And then I said, okay, can you do something? He did. Like 2 days later, he comes back with this. And then he's apologetic. He's like, oh, sorry, I couldn't do any more. I'm like thinking, are you crazy? This is freaking awesome.
That was, I can't do any more.
Because he ran out of time. Yeah. So Humberto Ramos.
Yeah.
So I would just get whatever, right? These sometimes I would just buy these. These are original pages. This is a commission as well. I got this in Heritage actually.
Okay.
But it's cool because he has different comics altogether.
Yeah.
This was from Scotty Young. Met this guy in Wizard World, Philly. He's sitting on a table by himself, super skinny guy with headsets on. Like, do you remember the old headset with the Walkman kind of thing? And nobody was there. Like, there was no line. No
This
line.
was before he became who
Before
he is
was
now.
famous.
Yeah.
And I walked to him and I said, hey, he was drawing Spider Clan and Human Torch at the time. And he was sending those pages. I bought a few of those pages. And I said, look, I love the way you draw. Would you draw Ghost Rider for me? Because he was doing a Human Torch, and I love the way he was doing Fire.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, how do you want him to look? And I said, dude, whatever, it's your creation. Do whatever you want. And he came up with this, which I freaking love. So
That's sick.
I need to put this in a wall. This is actually a friend of mine, that Aaron, his name is. We used to work at Disney together, and I caught him drawing on the cafeteria. I said, dude, do a samurai for me. And he drew that for me, so I put it in there. It's freaking awesome. Wonder what he's doing today. And this is Team Vigil. I won that on that. Look how cool that is.
Yeah. Great schedule.
So now the rest is empty, so I got to fill it up now.
Okay. So in terms of, you've been collecting for a while, as we can see here, what would you tell someone that is just going to a show like Heritage? What are some tips that...
Like HeroesCon?
Yeah, HeroesCon.
Cash and trades. That's it. Just bring in, and be willing to... I would have a list of the things you're looking for. Because a lot of people shit up to the booth and I'm like, hey, can I help you find something? Oh, we don't know what we want. Well, it's a little difficult because a lot of the books are in boxes, right? They have limited space in the walls. But if you're looking for something specific, if you have a list and you ask, you're gonna find it. Everybody who asked, pretty much I had almost every book that people were asking.
Really?
And I was able to find it for them.
Wow.
Right? Because again, especially my booth is so tiny.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to ask. So bring some cash, bring trade, and ask. Sometimes, like the guy who I traded those 2 books for, he really wanted the book that I traded him for, but he didn't want to ask. So I had to ask him. I go, what are you willing to trade for? He goes, I got these, and I go, okay.
Deal done.
Done.
So cash, be willing to start conversations with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have a list. Okay.
I think having a list is important.
Okay.
Right? If you have a list of the things you're looking for, even if it's a small list, it's gonna also help you find the stuff that you want first. There's so many comics there that you can go crazy. So let's say you have a list of the top books that you want, like Brian and I were discussing, what are the top books that I want? First thing you do is go through every booth to see if you find those.
Okay.
Because it's a gigantic place with only comics. So you will find it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only book I didn't see at the show was Action Comics 1, but pretty much every book was there. Yeah, there was a Detective 27, there were Wonder Woman's 1, there was Amazing Fantasy 15, there was Spider-Man 1, so it was pretty much just about every book there.
So for now, did you start making purchases right away as soon as you got to the floor, or did you wait a day or two, walk the show?
No,
see
my
what's
first
around?
purchase was Saturday midday, which was a Detective. And then
That's quite a purchase.
I bought this on Sunday. Then everything else, oh no, that's not true. I bought this on Saturday as well.
Okay.
And then everything else was a trade. I did no business on Sunday. Well, I bought these on Sunday. That's about it.
Okay. So are there certain days where deals are really happening, or any day a deal can happen?
Look, what I saw was where we were. The thing is, it's really hard to say that it's normal because we were really far away from the action. Where the action was, everything was happening every day.
Okay.
So there were people. There was a guy who walked in with a suitcase full of CGC books. And he wasn't a dealer, he just walked in and he sold every one of those books to dealers throughout the show in 2 days. Sold everything.
So if you're a collector, you can actually go there and offload and make money.
Absolutely.
So everybody can make money, trade, get into big books.
Absolutely. You can sell the books there, buy other things, trade in cash like Gerald did, or just do full trades as well.
Okay.
It depends on what you have and what they want. But every book is there. I mean, I brought things that I thought nobody would have, and I didn't have a single book in my booth that somebody else didn't also have. So, yeah, it was crazy.
And all different ages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Doc. So was this your first HeroesCon?
No, I've been going to HeroesCon since 2009, I think.
And how long have you been collecting?
I started collecting when I was 5, took a break during college and medical school, and then went back to collecting in residency because I discovered eBay.
Ah. So now you obviously have been to Heroes multiple times. Did you have a strategy where you said you were going to look for specific books, or it was kind of a free-for-all in terms of what you wanted?
So I did what Pedro did. I kind of had a game plan, walked the whole room. I have sort of a 3-tier. I have I'm going to get these 2 or 3 really rare high-end books that I want. Then I've got sort of do do I see a really good deal that I can't pass up because it's a good book I could use to trade to leverage later on, and then I've got like, let me go get my filler stuff that I'm just trying to complete runs and things like that. So those are the three sort of things. So as I walk, I don't usually buy anything up front unless it's like such a steal. You're like, if I walk away, someone will grab this book. So my main goal at the show, and I still have yet to find one, is a Spider-Man. I want an 11 in 9.0 or better, and I need a 31 in 9.2 or better.
Okay.
So those are my sort of the two bigger books I was looking for. Then I had some other Spideys that I wanted to upgrade. But I am collecting a Spider-Man run 1 through 300, all graded. So I'm missing a handful of books, and so I usually will go through upgrade stuff that I need if it's a good price.
Okay.
And, so I'll start off with the Spidey books.
Yeah, let's start. Let's take a look.
So I'm doing the run, like I said. So, but basically, I picked up just a bunch of these sort of 200s in 9.8. Hi. And then I got a few older ones, so that was actually a pretty good price. I had a 9.2, so that was a good upgrade for me. And then this book,
of course,
I've been chasing. I've graded about 20 of them, and I've never gotten 9.8.
All black cover, very hard.
And interestingly, Pedro had one. We had a trade all set up. He got it from Comic Link, and we found that it was severely misgraded, and he actually returned it to Comic Link because it was really like a 9.2.
Wow.
So that fell through. So I actually found one for a really good deal at the show, and I traded for this. I was about 90% trade, 10% cash. And then kind of finished up that run on the Spideys. So I did not find the 11, I did not find the 31. However, I did find a very, very well-priced 31, and so I did pick up the 4.0. I'll use it for trade, or I put these away. I think that's a very underrated book considering the first appearances that are in it. And so I'm big on this book. And any grade over a 3.0, it just seems to always climb a little bit each time.
So now, are you particular about off-white, white pages, or it doesn't matter?
Less than I should be. I think it's how it presents. So if it says cream off white, but I look at it and I say, it looks fine to me, I'll take it. I am not, everybody has their hang-ups. My hang-up is not yellowing. I don't care if there's a little like color bar or something like that on it. It doesn't really bother me. I do not like brittle pages. I don't like tan pages, so I will avoid those. But the difference between white, off-white, white, and off-white cream, I'm pretty neutral.
Okay. So grade is where you kind of hover at.
Grade and appearance. So if it fits the grade when you look at it, I'm okay with it.
So it presents well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now with this one, you said you traded for it, or
I bought this. It was like $200. Yeah, it was a good deal. That's what I'm saying. It was a steal. So I saw
No. 200.
Yeah.
For this book.
Yep.
I'll give you 220 bucks.
I'll give you 250 bucks.
So, like I said, if I see something like this, if I see one of these, like some of these Spideys at a good price, I know what the price should be. I'll pick them up just because I can then trade this later on for more.
Yes, just not to us.
So I got a couple other. So there's a guy who had basically a sort of a 50% off booth. So I bought stuff I normally wouldn't buy, but these were running about $40 to $45 each.
$40 to $45. This is from the movie that just came out.
So I got all three of those.
Wait a minute. You got this for...
These are all about $40 to $45 each. And like I said, you just gotta kind of know what to look for.
You have to dig. You dig.
I dug in the discount because it's as soon as a strategy I have is I'll look, and if I go in, I go, okay, this price is a good price. I will go digging because then I know the guy's gonna have good prices on everything. If I go in, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna come anywhere close to this. I walk away. I don't even bother. At that point, it's kind of like if I've gone through 2 of your boxes and everything is way overpriced and you don't move, there's no reason for me to look.
So do you even so your approach when you see a vendor or a dealer, you're going straight to the wall, or you're going straight to the wall?
I walk the wall first.
Okay.
And as soon as I've seen all the walls and I see who has good prices, then I dig on the guys with good prices.
Okay.
If I see, or if I know that they negotiate. So if I hear them talking and they're negotiating pretty fairly, I will. There are some guys I know they don't negotiate. I know they're kind of jerks about it. I don't bother. It's not my time. I'll just be setting myself up for disappointment.
Okay.
So,
and you brought books to trade.
Yes. So I was able to trade anything low dollar. I just kind of bought, but anything that was higher dollar, I traded for as we get to some of the other books.
Okay.
So
this was the big find.
These were just steals.
Price.
They were just steals because they were half price, and I think they're probably all worth at least double what I paid for them. So there's that. I bought this because it's super rare. I got a good price at it, but I got it from a friend of ours who does run Infinity Con, Louis. Good guy, known him for years, and I've been beaten up on this book because he had 3 copies at one point, and he's down to his last one, so I knew I had to pull the trigger. Still got a good price on it. Definitely paid under GPA on it, a smidge, but I knew I probably won't see another one again, and so I picked it up.
How do you know when a book is super rare like that?
All of these early Miles before he became popular, all of those variants are for the most part pretty hard to find.
The Chelly variants.
All of those variants are from the early run. So I think I'm very big on the early Miles run. So the Ultimate Comics Miles run.
Volume 1.
Yeah, the Volume 1, the Volume 2. I think that when you go 25 years into the future, that is everybody's Amazing Spider-Man run. So you go, oh, if I could have bought Spider-Man 2 or 3, I would have bought them. Well, here's your chance. You could buy all these Miles for, I don't know, $25, $30 each now, and potentially get 9/8 on them. And, you know, nobody cared. The good thing is that nobody cared about Miles for the first couple years. So those books are not all going to be 9/8 pristine, put away. Nobody did a run on them. That's why they're still coming out of the woodwork now, is because they were put away.
So now, being at, the movie was out right before Heroes Con, did you see a lot of people looking specifically for Miles, or it's still...
Every dealer had bucket loads of Miles books.
So they pulled them out.
So people were pulling them out because I think that they know they don't have a lot into them, and they don't know where the floor is going to hit. My personal belief is buy. When you think a book is crashy and you know that that book is solid, you buy the book. I mean, my 6-year-old and my 12-year-old could tell you who Miles is from a mile away. Some of them are going to be interested in comics when they're older, and they're going to go buy those books that they remember. And so you have to sort of say, what do kids know? You know, that's why video games are bigger now, because that's what some kids know.
Yeah.
And they gravitate towards what they know. I'm buying the stuff that I couldn't buy when I was 5 years old. I'm buying it now.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, the opportunity is there.
Yeah, so you think there's...
So I'm big on Miles. I did get, they're in here somewhere. Yeah, so I did trade, and I also picked up, 3 bags. Probably not 9/8, probably closer to 9/4, 9/6, but
So now, as a collector of OG Spider-Man, what are your thoughts on Ultimate Fallout? Because we have some collectors that say, stay away from this, it's a trap.
I 100% think that if you can get into this book for under $500,
For
a raw, nice looking raw bag copy, nice looking raw that's been pulled out, absolutely. I think that you're looking at an opportunity that you will not see again. We may not hit the floor, maybe it goes down to $300, but you know what? That's okay, you buy more. If you buy them at 4 and it goes down to 3, buy 3. And if it goes down to 2, buy 2. Because at some point, it's gonna go back up. Yeah, go ahead.
So from your perspective, you're agnostic when it comes to OG Peter Parker Spider-Man versus Miles. You just see it as collect, Spider-Man is part of the cultural zeitgeist, just keep going with it.
Yes, and I think that the fact that he was so well done in the beginning, his stories were good, it was a natural growth. It wasn't promoted as, hey, buy this, it's a collectible. It was, we're gonna introduce this new Spider-Man. People were kind of like, oh, hum about it. And because it grew on people, because it was that well done, it matters more. Because that means that they really put the effort into creating the character. And I think that's why he started to resonate with people. I mean, there are some cultural things why people like him too, but I think just the fact that it's so well done, the way they transitioned from the old Spider-Man to Miles, then they reintroduced them back together. I think everything's just been done really well. So ultimately, down the line, I think that this is gonna be a good book to have no matter what.
So modern day Grail, in your opinion?
Yes. This is another one. It was absolute steal. This is the first Penny Parker. It was $75.
At the show?
And it just, somebody had it at 25% off at $100. And then I got a couple of run books. So this one, I have Bloodstone 1 and 3 in 9/8. So I was like, the guy unfortunately had the 4 in a 9/6. So I didn't pick it up.
Oh.
That's a really rare series.
Yeah, it's rare. And I think they do, when you find them, there are a lot of 9/8s out there. So it's not like, it's really hard to get a 9/8 if you even come across one. It's just the book is rare.
Yeah,
overall.
I rarely see this at cons. And did you see more than one at the show, or?
There were no Bloodstone 1s at the show other than this guy.
Wow.
He had 2 9/8s in his bin, and then he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 9/8, 9/8, 9/8, and 9/6. I think the 4 in 9/8 is actually pretty hard to find. That's been the hardest one. So I just picked that up just so I have. If I see the 4, I'll pick it up. And Again, I'm doing another run, so I am doing a Silver Surfer run. So the guy had 3 that I needed. I only need 4 total. He had 3 of the 4, but he would not budge on the price on the 17 because he said that he bought during COVID for triple the price of what it's worth now. And he said he just can't take that much of a hit.
But these he was willing to negotiate, or did he want GP?
No, he matched GP on these.
Okay.
He's a good dealer. I know. I mean, if he can't come down, I know he would try if he could.
Okay.
So, so I'm trying to do the run in 9.0 or better. So my first big eBay purchase was a Silver Surfer 1 in 9.0 white page. And it was $400, and I probably crapped my pants when I did it for the first time. Because every time you buy that first big book that's like above your means a little bit, you're like, oh god. And then it was on eBay, and I never really bought anything big. So I was, every day I'm checking the mail, like, when is it going to get here? So it finally came. It took about a week to get it. And literally, I think there was news about the Silver Surfer that had come out. They're relaunching a series or something, and the book went to like $600. So immediate relief. I was like, okay, I paid 4. It's already worth 6. I'm good. I didn't know anything about looking up census or how to know what's a good price or anything. I literally just, back then it was eBay sold. Yeah. So I got eBay sold. It was between $350 and $450. I was like, I matched 4 in the middle. I was happy with it. So I've never improved it. So my best copy is a 1 in 9.0. I did pick up in a trade once the Thor cover. Then I have a 9.4 white page on that one.
It's a beautiful cover.
So that is pretty rare. I got it it was just a dip in the market. I happened to find one. Guy wanted some books I had, so I got that as a steal.
All right. So then what else did you pick up?
So that's that one. And then I do a lot of business with Greg Reese's Rare Comics. They've been good to me for many, many, many years.
Reese, based in Maryland, right?
So they're in Yamsville, Maryland. If I'm saying that right.
Right outside of DC.
So I actually have been to this house. I mean, he's a good guy. He's really helped me build my collection. So I do some consigning with him, and I had consignment credit. So I got these from him.
OGCGC. Now, are you gonna crack press?
No. I mean, so I'm doing a Journey to Mystery / Thor run. I'm not trying to get every Thor. I do want the full Journey to Mystery 83 to, all the way up to the where it switches over. So I have a lot more of the higher grade in the Thors. The Journeys, I'm not that particular on. I'll pretty much pick up anything 6.5 or better. My 83 is a 6.5. I paid really high during COVID. Probably one of the few books I really got probably burned on if I had to sell it, but I don't sell it, so it's fine. But so I'm actually doing pretty good. I got about 3/4 of the Journey run complete.
Wow.
And so that's that. So I think this is pretty rare. I didn't look up the census on it, but there's a really good price right now on that book.
And now, no trade, cash.
No, these were
consignment
credit.
Oh,
so at the show, I basically cashed out my consignment credit.
Oh, nice.
With it. Yeah, I try not to ever buy anything full price at the show if it's over $500. I try to do some kind of trade
to bring it
back. So the biggest book I got at the show, which was a half cash, half trade deal, was this.
9.0.
9.0, off-white, stunning copy. Really just a bad corner, I think, is all it really has on it.
Was this on your list?
It was on my list. It came off my list, but because the price was really good, and it's from a dealer I know very well and trust, and he's willing to usually do 50. He does pretty good 50-50. I give him, he obviously takes more on the 50% trade part of it, but I think that when you can mix a 50-50 cash trade offer on a high dollar book, and you're offering good trade, you can usually get a pretty solid deal on that. I probably got 85% or a little better on the trade books. So.
And that was when? That was day 2, day 3, or?
We talked about it day 1.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did the deal on day 3.
Okay.
But we kind of had it in the works. So I said, listen, sell it full price if you sell it, but I'll be back when I bring some books, and if you see stuff you like, we'll do a deal. And he said, absolutely.
So this is an upgrade, right?
So so I owe him I have to mail him my 7.0.
Oh, that was part of the
part of the trade was the 7.
Yeah.
I have a 7.0 white page. So. All right, this was actually with our own booth. I had a 6, and we had a deal going that if they were going to make a trade, but I could then be allowed to upgrade my 6.0 to a 6.5, so I did it. So I paid cash and swapped it out.
Triple trade.
Yes.
So did you bring your, now for when you do trades, are you bringing loads and loads of books with you?
I brought 2 boxes.
2 boxes.
2 boxes of stuff I brought, and then 1 little box of like raws. So raws, I mean, really, if you're gonna bring a raw, you gotta bring like heat, unless you do moderns.
Okay.
But so like I brought a box of early Spideys that I had pressed. No way I was gonna keep them raw. They're all sort of like in the 3.0 to 5.0 range. But they present really nice because I had them pressed just for that reason. That I could give them, dealers can put them up there well enough to mess with. They're not going to get them graded. And you get a lot of trade on Spideys. Usually you can get about 85-90% on your Spideys. Okay. So early Spideys. Last but not least, I traded some early Spideys for this. And actually it's a good deal because I think only 1 book was a first appearance and everything else was after Spidey 50. So books between 50 and 100.
Now, was that one on your list?
Actually, I take that back. I think there was a 27 in there.
Okay. Now, that one wasn't on the list for you, was it?
I try to pick up every show either a Batman or a Captain America from the Golden Age. I'm not a huge Golden Age guy, so that's literally my only, will be 1 Batman or 1 Captain America.
So you focus silver,
Mostly
copper,
silver.
bronze, modern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Least on the modern and Golden Age, mostly silver, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I mean, this probably is a 3 or to 3.5, I think, which is what we sort of traded the value at.
Are you going to submit that one, or?
I think it has to be submitted. I don't think it's wise. Yeah, the bottom is starting to lose pieces, so I need to put it again.
You see the pieces right
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, I took it out. The cover's solid. It has actually pretty supple. It's, you know.
Yeah. It's a pretty book.
But yeah, I think it presents really well for that. So it'll be a nice looking 3.035. And then I picked up a couple of raws. I picked up, this is actually really well done on the inside. The art was it's very Rick and Morty. The guy's really funny. I think he's working on World Tree right now. And he was just very entertaining to talk to. And then I have been collecting the Valiant Nintendo stuff probably a year or 2 before COVID hit. So, but this is actually probably the rarer number, even though it's not the valuable number 1, it is the rare one. If you go on eBay and you say, how many can I find? You will find about 10 copies of the other version to every one of this.
Okay. And then Tampon Man.
Tampon Man's just funny.
Yeah.
And this was the rare, you only had 1 copy of this versus 20 or 30 of each of the other covers. And all of them are really well done. The art's really nice on the inside. It is very funny. He's very funny. So, that's Silverbacks.
That's a 1 in 1,000, right?
I mean, he was probably joking with me.
Okay.
It's just the only one it was just, he had 1 to the under hundreds that he had there.
Gotcha.
So he's got a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know the actual ratio on he was joking with me.
How much you pay for it?
It was $20.
Oh, so he probably.
But they were all $20. Other than everyone was $20. He was willing to sign anything you wanted to sign. Just a super nice guy.
Now, is this a monthly book?
No, they're trying to get a show with, like, not Comedy Central, but I forget what it's called at night.
Cartoon, Adult Swim.
Adult Swim, yes. So they're in talks with Adult Swim, so that's why I picked it up.
So if you beat him up, does he bleed?
I mean, it's a monthly book. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come out monthly. That's a good question.
I mean, there's some flow for it.
Yeah, I think so. And I got one last book, and this one is a nice little upgrade I got. I bought that from Pedro at a 5.5. He didn't want to do the work and just give it to somebody to have him press and clean it and grade it. So.
Same book.
Same book.
So this was a 5.5.
What'd I say? What'd I say when you bought it? I told you.
Yeah. So we thought it was going to be between a 6.5 and a 7.5, so I'm pretty happy.
Congrats. Beautiful art.
That one came back really fast.
It did. It came back in 2 weeks.
For that fast.
Yeah.
Before submission.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So for anyone wondering, what's the significance of this book?
Oh, so this is that nice classic Neil Adams, probably the most famous Neil Adams cover, I think, of that era. I think, we as collectors may know some of the other ones like a Dead Man and some other stuff, but I think when you and the classic sort of homage to the old Detective 31.
Yeah.
But I think that this is probably like if you grew up in the 80s, you remember this
Yeah. So strategy-wise, what would you tell a collector that's going to Heroes Con first time out?
So I am always, I think that everybody should start to look at Silver Age and Golden Age. Even if you want to do mostly moderns, I think you should start picking up one or two things here and there. Even if it's not necessarily your main focus, just pick things up, because later on down the line, there will always be something that you can use to get into something else if you don't end up liking it. But a lot of times people will end up trying to gravitate towards those, and they're like, man, I wish I started here 5 years ago. So my advice is pick one or two books now that's a key first appearance. Maybe it's a cheaper one like First Falcon or something like that. Get into one of those books, buy it for cheap now, especially now on a low, put it away, and just every time you do a little local show or a show, put a couple $100 away and say, I'm gonna buy one key in that era, and then do whatever you want to do with the other stuff. Now, if you're into that, fantastic. But if you want to do like mostly moderns, but you do superhero books, I would say go buy a first appearance every time you do a show. The other thing I would say is, I'm a big fan, and this is somebody else's advice. Pick a book that you believe in long term as a monster book, and I mean a monster book. You're like, this is going to be a monster key 25 years from now. And start a long box or a short box, 100 copies of it, and say, I'm going to work towards 100 copies of it. Every time I can find one under this price, I'm going to buy one and just build them. I did it with Spider-Man 300 because I saw people do it with Hulk 181s, and I laughed at them when they were doing it. I was like, why do you need like 40 copies of Hulk 181? And that was back when Hulk 181 was a couple $100, and there are naysayers out there who would be like, oh, Hulk, I have stacks of Hulk 181. It's not going to be anything big. It's just way overproduced, and you need to stick to like Golden Age and Silver Age. Don't worry about this bronze stuff. Hindsight is 2020, and I'm saying to myself, okay, I listened to those people, and I really didn't buy a Hulk 181 other than maybe one or two copies, and I kind of believed them. And then they started saying that about, ASM 300, they say it about Ultimate Fallout 4, and you have to sort of say, okay, what is going to be the big books 25 years from now that is going to resonate with the kids of today, and still in our memories as adult, older collectors now, what do you have fond memories of? And so I think you have to say to yourself and chart it and know that every 10 or 15 years, there's going to be some hero book that just has that kind of like, I don't know what you'd call it, where it's in the gestalt of society.
Yeah. It becomes a cultural icon.
So I would say, do pick a book and do that.
Okay. And then for the collector on a budget?
I definitely say that you could do this where you pick up one good steal, right? And then you flip it the next show, and then you flip that the next show, and you could definitely start off with a $20 book. And if your goal is at the end of the year to have a $1,000 book, you can do it if you choose wisely. And you always say, I'm going to trade up with a little cash, that's your best deal.